Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story is one that you may have seen in other places as well, but it has new updates to it, so if you do want to skip parts of the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. This one's from Majestic Designer 781, and it says, would I be the arsehole for not forgiving my husband for cheating on me with his ex-wife? I'm honestly a mess, and I don't know what to do, so any advice would be appreciated. I, 27 male, and my husband, 37 male, have been married for 3 years, dating for 6. He has an ex-wife, 37 female, which he divorced a year before we met. We have a son, 7 male, who was adopted after we got married and who I love as my own child, because he is. I know my husband, Peter, fake name, is bisexual. I have no problem with it and had no problem with his ex-wife, Alison, also fake name. I did have a problem with his family as they're a bit homophobic and are always telling Peter he should get back together with Alison. Well, 2 weeks ago, we were at his family's town because it was my son, Jack's, fake name birthday, and we wanted to spend it as a family. My mother-in-law decided it would be a good idea to invite Alison, so she arrived in the middle of the party. I didn't want to ruin Jack's birthday, so I stayed quiet. I spent all my time with Jack, playing with him and his cousins at his request. When it was time to cut the cake, I noticed Alison and Peter weren't there, so I went inside and looked for them around the house. I found them in Peter's old bedroom taking their clothes off. I stood there in shock for a moment, but then I left and went back to celebrating Jack's birthday. Part of me wanted to scream and cry, but I also was in shock, and I refused to make Jack's birthday about me. We cut the cake and opened the presents. People were already leaving when Alison and Peter came back. Peter took me aside and started saying that I shouldn't have cut the cake without him present, and it was disrespectful. I stared at him and just said, "I'm sorry. I just thought you'd be too busy getting into your ex's wife's pants." He got quiet, so I took Jack and left the house to go back to the hotel. Once I put Jack in bed and made sure he was asleep, I locked myself in the bathroom and broke down. I called a friend and he tried his best to console me. I only calmed down in the morning when I took Jack for breakfast because I didn't want him to see me like that. I'm now watching him play in the park and I don't want him to suffer. I don't want him to have a broken family. I don't want him to know that relationships aren't a happy ever after. Peter has been calling and texting, apologizing for everything, and I'm tempted to forgive him. I'm tempted to just have my family back, and all my friends are saying that it was just a mistake, that he was vulnerable and Alison is his ex-wife. So what am I supposed to do now? I need advice from people who don't know my husband or me personally. Please, any advice is helpful. Now let's face it, what happened here wasn't a mistake. They made a choice to do that. They made a choice to go up into that bedroom and start taking their clothes off. And then this guy has the cheek to come up to you whilst you're cutting the cake and basically scold you for doing so without him present while he was up in the bedroom removing his clothes with his ex-wife. Absolute cheeky bastard. And you're worried about how your son's going to feel about this, but I think the comments will go like that teaching your child self-respect sometimes means walking away from it. Because I mean, otherwise, how do you move on from this? How do you trust him? And the child will pick up on that distrust over time. But the top commenter did say, teach your son that his future partners has to respect him and their relationship by not being a cheating bastard. Opie says, I do want to teach him this stuff, but he's too young. And I'm just scared that he'll get a bad view of relationships if he sees his parents divorce. OP on collecting evidence on his husband's cheating if the husband has done this before. OP says, from what I've been able to gather from the message and calls, it has happened twice, including the time that I caught them. I hadn't thought about STI, so thank you. I'll get tested. OP responds to loads of people who are talking about his husband not respecting him and the cheating wasn't the first time. OP says, it's not. I found out it's the second time, but I don't want my son to know what happened. He's unaware and happy thinking his dads will be together forever. I don't want to break that illusion. OP on why he didn't interrupt his husband's cheating with his ex and says, I was really too shocked and hurt by what I saw, and I just stood there without them noticing me. I then heard my son and unconsciously focused on him and only him. A coping mechanism maybe? I don't know. I was mostly on autopilot. And one more commenter says, not the arsehole, but you should leave. I know it won't be easy, but if you stay, think of it as showing Jack that it's okay for your husband or wife to treat you badly. If you want him to know about happily ever after, you need to show him that it's okay to not settle and you work hard for your goals no matter what they are, and work towards them with kindness, honesty, and integrity. Kids are far more impressionable than we give credit for, and as someone who has known so many families where the person being hurt hasn't walked away, that hurt spreads until it damages everyone. Relating to just yourself here, there is a huge safety factor. Regardless of the sex of each individual involved, staying with a cheater also puts you in danger because you don't know everyone they're sleeping with and, more importantly, what STIs they can be carrying. So think about your son and your health and leave. Emotionally, if you're surrounded by people telling you to forgive and forget, those people are not safe to be around, as you have no clue if they've been hiding this from you for a while either. So after that, OP came in with their first update and said, well, first of all, I want to thank you all for the advice and I want to explain some things before the actual update. But thank you for opening my eyes about my situation. Number 1, Peter and Allison didn't notice me when I saw them. Their music was very loud downstairs and they weren't facing the door. 2, I didn't stop them because I was in shock. I just stood there for a moment and I heard my son, so I unconsciously focused on him. I was pretty much on autopilot. 3, Peter didn't come to the hotel with me because I changed to a different one. He did try to follow me, but I took a taxi and left. As far as I know, he's staying with his parents and Allison left. 4, we met when I was 20 and he was 30. We started as friends and we ended up dating. Yes, we're both men, and no, I didn't feel manipulated or groomed by him. Those were the most asked things, and I did answer some comments, not all. Now, onto the update. I did as some of you said and took some tests to discard any STIs or STDs. The results are coming back in a few days, and I will take another one in 3 weeks to be sure. My son is having a sleepover with a friend, and I decided to speak with my husband. He came by our house. After a few minutes, I texted him. He asked about Jack, and I told him where he was. Then we sat on the couch and started talking. I started crying after a few minutes, and he followed after. I asked some simple questions. When, why, how many times, among others, and this is what I could figure out by all the things he said. It happened for the first time when he visited his parents alone 2 years ago. They invited her. They both got drunk. He was feeling lonely as I had paid more attention to Jack since we adopted him, and they slept together. Nothing happened again into our son's birthday party. He said his mother pressured him a bit and he caved in. I don't believe he did it for that reason, but I don't know. He said he doesn't love her, and I believe him, but it doesn't negate the fact of what he did. After talking for a while, I told him that I wanted a divorce. He started sobbing and begging for another chance, but I told him that I can't give him another chance because I wouldn't be able to trust him again, and I don't want that in a relationship. He kept crying and begging for another 30 minutes until I told him that we have to think about Jack and his well-being, that we could stay friends and co-parent him. He got mad, really mad. He started yelling that it was all Jack's fault, that we shouldn't have adopted him, that he's the one who's getting between us. I was crying and really scared. I'd never seen him this angry. He hit the table and stormed out the house. I called the house where Jack is staying at and told them if Peter shows up there, they can't open the door. After the little episode, I was scared that Peter would try to hurt Jack. I called my friends again, Thomas, and told him everything that happened. He came by and is staying with me until I'm better. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what to do and how to go on with a divorce. After that update, the top commenters on that section was, "You are absolutely not wrong for not forgiving your husband. His reaction to the news of divorce, blaming your adopted son, is alarming and shows his true colors. Stay strong and prioritize yours and Jack's safety." Commenter says, "Sorry you're going through this. On the bright side, it seems that you have no problem getting a full custody. It is better to have one loving parent than two co-parents, where one is resenting you for mere existence." And the final commenter on that update says, "I can't believe that he has taken no accountability for his actions and blaming your completely innocent son. Every time you start missing your soon-to-be ex, I want you to please remember what he said about your son. It will be painful, but it will strengthen your heart and mind to move on from that toxic man. You're definitely not the arsehole. Keep striving for a healthy, happy new relationship for you and your son." So it was around 11 days after that update that Opie came in with another one and said, "Hi again. Sorry for taking so long to update, but it's been a chaotic week and I'm pretty shaken up, but I'll try to summarize it. My husband has been showing up at my work, following me, and calling me from burner phones. I was afraid he'd go after Jack like many of you said he would, but he didn't. He said a lot of stuff, but I tried to write the important things. He said that he missed when we were just us, that I stopped paying attention to him when we adopted Jack, that I wasn't his anymore. He said that he missed how dependent I was on him. I was very insecure when we met, but I started working on my issues when we adopted Jack because I didn't want to be a bad example for him. When we got married, I used to get sick all the time. I was weak and tired, so he could take care of me 24/7. The doctors couldn't tell what was wrong with me, and I didn't get better until a bit after we adopted Jack. I guess that dependence is what he missed. Yesterday, he followed me to work and started screaming that I was his and that we made vows to stay together. We had to call security, and he waited for me next to my car. I panicked and took a taxi home. He keeps messaging me and showing up to our house. I took a few weeks off work to be with Jack, although he's taken this better than me. I made an appointment with a therapist for him, and when the divorce is finalized, I'll go to one myself. I've been debating what to do, so I'll update when something happens." The top one said on that one, "It's good that you're prioritizing Jack and your own mental health by seeing a therapist. You deserve to feel safe and supported. It's wild how some people can't handle change, right? Your husband seems to be stuck in the past, and it's not fair to you or Jack. Just remember you're doing what's best for both of you, and that's what truly matters." So it was about a month and a half after this that Opie came in with what was titled their final update, but it's not. It says, "Hi guys, this is the final update for anyone who is interested. I'm only doing this update to give it some closure and because some people messaged me to ask for it. So here it is. This has been a really difficult time, but I'm almost divorced. I have primary custody of Jack and I've got a restriction order against Peter and Allison. I try to be quick, but a lot has happened. So after I made the post, Peter kept calling and stalking me. I didn't know what to do until I started packing Peter's stuff and I found a box of pictures of me before we met, like 3 or 4 years before we met, while he was still married to Allison. I never knew they got divorced. He just said it was too painful to talk about, so I never asked. But I swallowed my anger and sent Allison a message to ask her about the pictures. And she told me that they got divorced because she saw him stalking my Facebook several times and found the same box I did. He called it an innocent crush and curiosity, but she thought he was cheating on her and they got divorced. A year later, he met me, but Allison always thought that I was the side piece. I read a few comments saying that maybe I was sick because he was making me sick. I don't know if that's possible. I don't really know. I mean, the illness was bad enough to make me stay in bed, like having a bad cold. But I don't know. I stopped digging. After I found pictures, I confronted Peter without Jack in the house and he seemed, I don't know, proud? He kept smiling and saying that all he did was for us, that it was love at first sight and we were destined. He was just making sure it happened. Apparently we had met before we became friends. I remember meeting him at a party through some friends, but we met before, as teenagers. He and I lived in close by towns and my school made some trips to the towns nearby and we met on one of those trips. We were something like friends but only for a summer because he went to college and I soon forgot about him. But he found my Facebook and the story continued. I was horrified to say the least. He tried to console me and tell me that it was fine, that he did it out of love, and that only if we hadn't adopted Jack, everything would be fine. I was bawling my eyes out. My entire marriage was a lie. He said that he only slept with Allison because he knew that it would get my attention and that we didn't have to go through with a divorce, that I know he loves me and that's it. He promised to be a better dad for Jack if I made more time for him. He told me to quit my job because he earned enough to take care of all of us and that would give me more time with him. I was in shock, and then he hugged, calming me down. I admit for that moment, I allowed him to hold me. I allowed myself to consider his proposal, but I kept thinking about his lies. It wasn't about the cheating, it was the stalking, the lies, the obsession. It creeped me out, so I tried to pull away and tell him I'd go through with a divorce. He refused. He hugged me tighter and screamed that I needed him, that he could protect me, he could take care of me, he could save me, that I was his husband and only his. I was terrified. I slapped him and pulled away, yelling at him to get out of my house. He didn't. He just kept screaming and holding on to me until a neighbor heard the commotion and called the police. I filed a restraining order and been taking care of Jack since. During the divorce proceedings, Peter asked for 50-50 custody, which surprised me because in all this time, he hasn't cared about seeing Jack. But I later found out that it was only because he would get to see me and talk to me regularly. He's been contesting every single thing about the divorce, trying to make it last longer than it has, and it's been working. He offered to give me child support even though we have 50-50 custody. He allowed me to keep the house and other stuff. So that's what's been going on in my life. The only happy thing that happened was Halloween. Jack insisted on dressing up as Spider-Man, me dressing up as Tony Stark. So we did, and I took him trick-or-treating. It was the most adorable sight ever, and I knew I made the right choice with him and Peter. I'm sorry for such a long post, but this probably be the last update. Thank you so much for the advice and for hearing me rant. Relevant comments on that update said, how did you meet on a school trip as teenagers when your husband is 10 years older than you? If it was the summer before he left for college, weren't you 8 years old? Opie says no, he was already in college, he just left again. He was spending the summer at his hometown. Sorry for not explaining better. Opie clarifies on the timeline and how and when he met his ex due to their age gaps and says, I had pictures from before, I thought we met when I was 20, and he was already in college. He was just spending the summer in his hometown. We met in the summer when I was about 14. I'm sorry for the messy writing. English isn't my first language. So 5.5 months after that one, Opie updates again and says, I know I said my last update would be the final, but I'm so very confused right now. So we're finishing with the divorce proceedings, but Peter's attitude has given a 180. I don't know if I'm crazy or what. The last time I posted here, Peter was basically saying that our son was the reason for our divorce and only wanted custody of him to see me. Well, now he's being Father of the Year. A friend of mine, Dean, fake name, is handling the drop and pickups of Jack so that I don't see Peter. At first he was mad and called me because he thought he and I were dating. Then he didn't care. Now, I thought that it would treat Jack badly, and I kept a very close eye on him. Asked him questions about his father, how everything was going, etc. Jack told me that he's been acting like the perfect dad. He's nice, he plays with him, helps him, and is completely different from before. I've talked to Peter and he told me he was going to therapy, which I'm happy for, and he has messaged me, apologized and told me that we should try couples therapy. I declined and he hasn't asked again, but he wants us to meet up at his house tomorrow to discuss everything that happened. He said it was part of his therapy. I haven't gone to therapy. I can't afford it right now, but Jack is. I can't say I don't miss Peter because he was a great partner and husband before everything went down, but I don't trust him after all that happened. So I don't know what to say to him tomorrow or how to express how I feel about it. Is it wrong to miss him? I mean, this whole thing happened because he slept with someone else, and I know that he hasn't seen Allison and won't be seeing her again because she's also done. Should I just move past it? Jack is also saying that he misses the three of us together. He's cried to me about it more times than I can count and asked why I can't forgive his dad. What the hell am I supposed to do? To feel? It's a short update. I guess I'm just trying to vent without judgment from people I know and give an update to those who ask for it. Thanks again for all the support I received in my other posts. Top commenter on that one says, it's love bombing. He knows your child is your priority, and so that's what he's targeting. My ex cheated and was diagnosed sociopath/sex addict. It proved he'd changed. He joined Sex Addicts Anon to show he'd changed. He even sent me a photo of his 1-month chip. I told him I'd never take him back regardless, so he never went back again, and told me that he wished he'd give me an STD. I was pregnant, so I'd have an effed up kid, so that no one would ever want me. Love bombing isn't sending gifts, it's knowing someone so well that you can target them to get what you want. Another commenter says, I'd be very careful right now. He's acting like Father of the Year, which is out of character for him. He knows what you value, and it's Jack, so he's doing everything to win you back by being the best dad to Jack. He even has Jack asking you why you can't forgive his father. I'd be wary that he's coaching Jack in small ways to try and win you back. This is either genuine or a master plan. The way he acted before about you being his makes me think it may not be genuine. I would stay the line you're currently in and just monitor the situation, because the last thing you want to do is cave only to realize it was all fake. He even told you before that he cheated because you were not paying enough attention to him. So what happens if he feels like that again? Green light for him to go sleep with someone else. I wish you all the best. Another commenter says, please don't go back. You were scared. He followed you. You feared what he would do to your child. You feared your safety. My ex did a lot of the same stuff, and it's been 10 years and he didn't get better. And no, not the cheating, the obsession, the creepy. Once I was gone for over a year, more and more kept happening or becoming clearer. How old were you when you first met or in the photos? Because that's insane. And a short time later, OP follows up with another update and says, okay, I'm going to clear up a few things before I give you the actual update. I don't answer comments. I prefer to answer every question here instead of answering the same question separately. 1. I should have explained it better about my restraining order was a temporary one, only for 30 days. 2. Peter was a very good husband. I read that he was abusive all throughout our relationship. He wasn't, and he was a good dad to Jack. Everything went to hell when I caught him cheating. 3. What Jack was saying wasn't told by Peter. I talked to him and I made sure. He's just been missing our life before. 4. Peter would never touch Jack like some of you suggested. My case may make it seem like he could, but he never even touched me or groomed me. I did talk to Jack just to make sure, and he reassured me that nothing happened. Now, onto the update. I did meet with Peter. Most of you told me not to go to his apartment, so I told him to meet at a park, take a walk or something. When I saw him, he was different. He looked very depressed and he hugged me when he saw me. He wouldn't stop apologizing for what happened. We started talking and walking. He didn't justify what he said or did, but he did say he regrets it. He said that he misses me and misses being together. I asked about Allison and he told me that he cut her and his parents out, which I believe he did. And then I asked about what he said about Jack. He basically said that he resented Jack for a long time because my attention wasn't on him anymore, and it was selfish. But he was too used to being the center of my world, so when it suddenly changed, he couldn't take it. He told me he loves Jack, but that he sustains that if giving him up meant to have me back, he would do it in a heartbeat. We talked for hours while Jack was with my friend. I cried a lot. There were things I decided not to ask, like if he was drugging me like some of you said, because I honestly don't want to know. We've been texting these past days, mostly about Jack, but I'm considering family therapy, mostly to help Jack cope with everything. The divorce is still happening, which Peter wasn't too happy about, but he wasn't angry anymore, just sad. I also recently met a guy in a coffee shop and we've been texting a lot, so I'll see how that turns out. And that's it for the moment. I'll update you guys, and if you have any questions or if something else happens. Commenter says, you dating someone else is going to show you who Peter really is, because you still refuse to believe it. Another commenter says, yeah, I really don't want to be the one to say this because your life is your life, but I genuinely think you should hold off any dating whatsoever. Was he a good partner and father before? No, not really, because all of that is tainted sand, irrevocably changed because he's been playing behind the scenes to make you his. Your relationship wasn't a natural process of knowing each other and falling in love. It's been him stalking you for years and threw away his previous relationship to manipulate a friendship, then a romance with you. Like, really think about it. Your ex-husband played puppet master the entire time you've known him. Every meaningful moment was/highly likely to have been orchestrated by him without you knowing that. He wants to give up the son you guys adopted. He blames your son for the relationship failing and tried to convince you to give him up. I remember that one update you did where he told you to take care of you and give you everything so you can stop working and be home with him. If you're a woman, there would have been a barefoot and pregnant added to that. This man is obsessed with you, wants you with him always, and still blames your son for taking your attention, and probably would give him up if given the chance. And you think that dating is doable? Please think about not starting anything with anyone, because if your ex has gone to these lengths, I guarantee you getting a boyfriend will push him to further. If your son was in this relationship with someone who acted and did the same things as your ex, what would you tell him? Please be safe, dude. And the last commenter says, so men also manipulate other men when they're in a relationship. So it isn't just us women who fall for it. Because my guy, you have and still is, which is very concerning for you. Not to mention Jack, because the second Peter gets a whiff about you dating someone. Phew, my advice is hold off on dating and get a therapist, because clearly you are not that good at seeing red flags and could end up in a situation or relationship just as toxic as this one, which sadly is the most common for people coming out of a toxic relationship. You go back to what you know sort of ordeal. I have one friend that does, and still is surprised when crap hits the wall, no matter how many times you point out the same red flags with a banner in the sky. You just have a kid in the mix. Best of luck, OP. That's a hugely scary and concerning story, especially as it felt to me like OP was almost minimizing some super serious red flags because of remembering those good times. You know, the stalking, that illness that kept magically disappearing after adopting their son, which, you know, I was with some of the comments on that one as well. It was really worrying. And just the overall predatory behavior that he's shown at the very start of this. I really hope that OP looks at this, takes a step back and reads the situation like they was reading someone else's story and see how concerning that is, because like those comments said, I reckon he's going to go off the rails when he sees that you're dating someone else. And I think OP should be prioritizing their own safety and Jack's safety above all else. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.